Okay, so we are back for another recipe, summertime cookout recipe. Today we're making mac and cheese, but we're going to make it, maybe a little bit different than most people make it, but basic same ingredients. All right, let me run down some ingredients here. We got 1 pound or 4 cups of elbows. We have a little salt and pepper to taste. We have an onion. We have 4 cups of cheddar cheese. We have 2 cups of yellow cheddar, and then we have 2 cups of sharp cheddar. Over here we have 1.5 cup of whole milk. We have some heavy whipping cream right here, a couple of jalapenos, 6 tablespoons of flour, 8 tablespoons of butter, which is, yes, a whole stick of butter. So if you're watching your calories, this might not be the dish for you, but I would definitely give it a try. We have about 9 strips of bacon that are going to go into this. This is going to be a bacon jalapeno with some caramelized onions in this, which is fantastic. But if you don't like it spicy, you can leave out the jalapenos. Just don't put them in. It's really just as simple as that. And then we have a little bit of cayenne pepper over here, and we have a little bit of paprika over there. Okay, that's about it right now. We got some boiling water on the stove behind me. We're going to drop the pasta, get that in, and then once we take that out, we're just going to throw that in a colander. We are not going to rinse that. All right, on with this recipe. Water is boiling, pasta goes in. Throw our 1 pound of pasta in there. Give it a couple stirs when you first put it in, just so the starch doesn't make the pasta stick together. Now, I don't have any salt in this water. You can salt it if you want to, but I don't do that, okay? This pasta takes 7 to 8 minutes, so we are gonna cook it to about, we're gonna start with 5 minutes, because you want to undercook it, because it's gonna go in the oven for about 30 minutes towards the end. All right, as soon as the pasta is done, we'll be back ready to drop the bacon. All right, so it is bacon time. Now I'm using a 12-inch skillet, so for me right now, there's no sense in cutting this in half. You don't have to cut these bacon strips in half. You could just lay them down. Now, cast iron obviously gets very hot, so we're just going to render this down. Every time you guys hear me talk about bacon, I always pretty much say the same thing. We're going to render this bacon down slow. We're not going to go fast with this. Okay, we're going to put as much in the pan as we can get. Hopefully you guys can hear me over all this sizzling. It sounds like it's taking off real quick, but in theory, not really, because this is going to cool the pan too as this goes in. All right, so this is what we're going to do. And once I'm all done with the bacon, I'm going to show you what it looks like as far as how I render this down, okay? But again, you keep this on like a medium heat, medium to low heat. Don't rush this. You don't want your bacon to be burnt by any means, and you want to render that fat down. You really want to cook that down. The only way to do that is to do that on a lower heat. All right, we'll be back when the bacon is cooked. Okay, so our timer went off for the pasta, so we're going to shut that off. That pasta was in for about 5.5 minutes. Okay, the only thing that we're going to do now is we're just going to dump it into a colander, and that's where it stays. We're not going to do anything with it. We're not going to rinse the pasta. We will shake it like this a little bit, but other than that, this is going to stay here until we make the cheese for this, and then we're going to mix it all together, but we got to wait for the bacon to stop frying, and then we got to caramelize some onions. Then we'll be ready to go. But leave it here. Don't worry about it. Just let it do its thing. All right, time to cut the onion up. So we're going to just do this a little bit different than what I usually do it. Usually I just like this, and usually I don't take this end off, but I am going to take this end off today. Usually I leave that on there because it holds the onion together. Depends on if I'm chopping it or I'm dicing it or whatever. So we're just going to make a mark. Just like that. We're going to unpeel the outer layer off here. Hope you can see that. Sometimes I can't see what the camera's actually doing. Okay, so there we go. We're in frame. Then we're just going to cut it in half. So for this part, after making this for so long, this is what I found out was kind of handy. Okay, we're just going to we're not going to cut it this way. We're not going to cut the onion in half like this. All we're going to do is we're just going to cut it just like this. Okay, not too thick, but you want it. Wasn't sure if you could hear me over that. Okay, so we're not going to cut it too thick. All right, so we want these to cook down nicely. Okay, because when these go into the mac and cheese, these are so good, and it adds a little bit of texture to it. Okay, I am going to cut up the other side, but for right now, I'm going to let you guys go. Finish cutting this up, and then we're going to cut up the jalapeno. Right, so now it is time to cut up the jalapenos. Now, all I do is I just take the one end off of it, and then I just cut it straight down the middle, just like that. Okay. If you guys can't have seeds or whatever the problem is, if you have digestive issues or whatever, just take a small paring knife, just like this, and I know you're probably not going to be able to see it, but right in here along this vein, this white vein right there, right here, is going to be where all your seeds are hiding out. Okay, so you just put your knife underneath there and just kind of pry them all out, and that'll take care of that problem. Okay, you just open them up like that, and then if you see some, get them out if you don't like them. All right, the pepper itself isn't hot, it's that white vein, boy. It's this right here. All right, I personally like it, so we leave it in. So if you don't like them, as far as the seeds go, make sure you get those out. I don't like them. I have a hard time digesting seeds of any kind, so I take them out, but I still enjoy the heat. Okay, so now we're just going to push this aside, all these seeds, get rid of them, just like that. And now this is how I cut up my pepper for the mac and cheese. Really simple. Okay, here we go. Just like that. Okay. Okay, jalapenos are cut up. That's about what I do. All right, we're going to also saute these up a little bit and put these in a pan after we do the onions. All right, so we'll be on to the next step. We're just waiting for the bacon to get done and rendered so we can add in our onion. Bacon's almost done. I did the first round of bacon, and now we're back to show you exactly what the second round of bacon looks like. Just like that, right? So you don't want a lot of fat. You want it all rendered down really nice. Look at that bacon. The bacon's beautiful. Okay, so we're going to yank this from the pan, and we're going to put it on a paper plate with a paper towel. And then what we're going to do over here is we're going to grab a spoon, and we're going to get just a little bit of this bacon grease out of here right now, because we're going to use this pan to cook our... Okay, we just want to get a little bit of that out of there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put our onions in this pan. Okay, so here's our sliced up onions that we had from earlier. We're just going to throw them in. Now that was one whole medium onion. I cut the whole thing up because I don't know if I'm going to use it or not. Another good thing here is make sure you break up your onion before you put it in the pan. It's much easier doing it by hand than it is doing it in the pan like this. Okay, so we are going to fry this in the bacon grease. Now I know some of you guys are you can feel chest pains right now, right? I get it, trust me. So we're going to let these go, we're going to render these down, and then we're going to do the same thing to our jalapenos as well. But what we're going to do is we're doing the onions first, because I don't want the heat from the jalapeno in this pan while I do the onion, because then the mac and cheese at the end might be a little bit too spicy, because you got a little bit of cayenne pepper in here, plus I did keep all the veins in those jalapenos. So we're going to let this go for a little bit, render these down, get them nice and soft. Hang in there because really this is a great mac and cheese, okay? Very hearty. You don't need nothing with it. Sit down with a couple scoops of this, you're all set. All right, we'll be right back with you guys. I'll show you the onions and then I'll drop the jalapenos. All right, these onions are gorgeous. This took about maybe 15 minutes, so don't rush these, like I said. Now that might have looked like a lot of onion, but you see what I mean? Like they cook down into nothing. Now these aren't burnt at all, okay? These are super caramelized. They're very, very soft, and this is the way you want them, okay? This is going to be great inside this mac and cheese. I've made this before. I just figured I'd shoot a recipe for you guys to look at. Beautiful. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to take these now and we're just going to put these over here. We're going to let this drain a little bit, and this also deglazed the pan because you had a lot of moisture in the onions, and that's basically what you're doing, right? You're extracting the moisture out of the onion, you're caramelizing it down, you're getting some flavor from the onion because it's caramelized, and then you're also getting some flavor because we sauteed these in that bacon fat, which is awesome. Okay, so that's it for perfect. Okay. Sorry about that. Had to do it though. All right. So our onions are done. So now I just want to show you. I got these on a paper plate with a paper towel on them. That's all the onions that we got out of that. Okay. So you can see how they render down. All right. So we're going to push these aside, keep those there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to just bring in our jalapenos, and we're going to just go and we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to just remember what these look like before we started, and then you'll see what they look like after we're done with them. Try to spread them out, get them on the bottom of the pan as far as, like, you know, don't let them be stackable, right? Don't one on top of another. Try to get them out in a single layer, basically. All right, so we're going to do the same thing to this. Now, if you've never sauteed jalapenos, it gets me every time with the breathing. This is going to throw off some heat, some fumes, and you may cough. You may start coughing. All right, so if you have a vent, you know, throw the vent on, and maybe that'll help you out a little bit. These aren't going to take too long. We're only going to sweat these out. I want a little bit more of a bite out of these than I do the sauteed onions. All right, so we'll bring you back as soon as we get done rendering these down. All right, so you can see what the jalapenos are doing. They're just got a little bit of color on them right now. When you press on them, they still have some bite to them. That is exactly how I want them. Okay, reason for that is because this is going to bake in the oven for about 30 minutes until the cheese gets like super bubbly on top. Okay, so this now is how I like these, because these are going to get softened in the oven as well. So you don't have to cook these down as much as the onions. Okay, so we're taking these out of the pan. Again, I'm putting these on a paper towel as well, just to get the excess grease off them. All right, and that's it. Okay, so we're on the next step. We are going to start cutting up some bacon, which is not a big deal, and we're going to start making the roux. All right, hang in there. I'll be right back. We're going to start making this roux and this cheese sauce. Get this in the oven. We are on to the bacon that we cooked. Look at how nice this is. It's beautiful, right? Okay, so we're going to cut all this up, and again, we're cutting everything up just because I'd rather have too much than not enough. You know, sometimes you're in the mood for a little bit more bacon, more onions, whatever, right? You know, all right, nothing special here. All right, we're just, it's like you're making your own, croutons, not croutons, but like your own bacon bits. Okay, so this is about how I do it. Just like that, no big deal. I like to have some chunks in there throughout, and then if you don't use all this, that's fine. You don't have to use it all, because tomorrow is what's tomorrow? It could be omelet day, right? You can get up, make yourself a nice omelet, throw some bacon in there, some cheddar cheese on it, so on and so forth, right? There's always something always something that you could make. Okay, so I got hooked on mac and cheese from a local place that I was eating at one day, and boy, I'll tell you, whew, they make a great mac and cheese. So, all right, so here we go. And you can just go through it again real quick, just like this, and then we're gonna start building our roux. Okay. All right, we'll be right back with you. We'll get some cheese sauce made. Okay, so let's make the roux. So we got a Dutch oven. This is exactly what I cooked the pasta in. I used the same exact pan. Okay, in there goes 8 tablespoons of butter, just like that. That probably didn't sound healthy, did it? This is probably one of the most unhealthy meals that I cook, but so good. All right, so you're gonna need yourself a whisk, okay, and you're gonna let this butter melt down. Now I am gonna keep you guys with me this whole way, because I think it's important to do that, because I want you to see exactly what the color of the roux is supposed to be, and how we melt the cheese down. We add the other ingredients and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, I forgot to mention in the last segment, the place that I got mac and cheese one day was a local place. It's called the Tipsy Moose, and the Tipsy Moose, when I had that, when I had that mac and cheese, was awesome. I can't stress that enough. Tipsy Moose, if anybody in the area is watching this channel, you guys, you're kicking ass on your mac and cheese, especially when you guys finish it off under the salamander. I think that's amazing. Nice crispy top to it. The ingredients are fantastic, and I always order the jalapeno and bacon mac and cheese. That's the reason why I may have started making some of this at home. Not that theirs isn't good anymore. It's just that, I like to cook, and that's the reason why I started this channel. Pass on some stuff that I know to you guys, right? Okay, so let's where we go with this. There we go. Look a little off. So we're just melting the butter down. I know a lot of you guys say I talk too much. That's fine, but you have to. Sometimes you do have to explain what you're doing, and sometimes you can't burn your food, so it takes a couple extra minutes to explain stuff. That's why some videos are a little bit longer than others. All right, so here we go. We're going to make the roux. We got the melted butter, 8 tablespoons. We're going to do 6 tablespoons of flour on top of that. And you can go to a medium heat on this, okay? All right, so there we go with that. And we're going to cook this down till we get the taste of that flour out. Okay, we're just going to cook this till this roux becomes golden brown. Now a roux is exactly that. I know a lot of people kind of shy away from making a roux. That is a roux right there. It's butter and flour. That's it. Okay, so we're just going to cook the rawness out of this, because if you've ever eaten raw flour, it's really not as appetizing as if you cooked it down a little bit. Okay, so keep stirring. Make sure all the lumps are out. If you're using a non-stick pan, make sure you use a spout or a whisk like this. And whisking is very important, okay, because you have to get this smooth. All right, so we're just going to let that stand for a second. Now I did put my cream back in the, my heavy whipping cream back in the refrigerator, because I just didn't want to leave that out. Now I do leave the milk out, the whole milk, okay? All right, so there we go. That's it. That's been about a minute or two or whatever. So, oops. Yeah, no, I couldn't get through a recipe without doing that, right? All right, so a little bit more heat. Add a little bit more heat to that. And what we're going to do is we're just going to whisk in. Now you can see on the bottom, nice and bubbles, it's foamy. It's going to keep doing that, so you want to make sure you keep whisking it. And now is when we're going to pour our milk in. And that's going to lower the temperature. That's the reason why I said to you guys to boost the temperature up right now, so we can compensate for that, okay? Just like this. Make sure it's all mixed in. And this is what's going to make your sauce. Alright, and then we're going to, now this is cold, so this temperature is going to drop, so I'm just putting little by little in, make sure I still got a little bit of steam coming out of it, almost like tempering an egg, but we're really not tempering anything. Actually, we're just trying not to let the temperature drop too low at this point. That's all this is. So we go slow with this. All right, just like that. Now we let this get up to temperature again. You start seeing some steam coming out of it, which it is. That's why you have to pull up your temperature a little bit. Just a little bit hotter. All right, now we're going to add our cheese. Okay, this is where we're going to add our 4 cups of cheese, and we're just going to stir this in, and this is going to melt, you know, in no time, right? So one hand on the whisk, one hand on the cheese, just like this. Okay. This is where all your ingredients now goes in. We put the yellow cheddar in. Get this sauce, and make sure between each addition that you let this cheese melt. You don't want to, I call it overwhelming the cream and the milk. Make sure it's all incorporated. Okay, so you don't see any more cheese left, and then you're golden. All right, so put more cheese in, just like that. I know this video might be a little bit long. We'll see what I can do when I edit it, but you gotta talk your way through this, okay? Now the rest of the cheese goes in. So that's about 4 cups. That's what I measured out. That seems to work. If you want to put 5 cups in, you can put 5 cups in. Not a big deal either way. All right. And then we're going to let this melt down real quick. Keep stirring it. Don't let it burn. All right. The only way this would burn is if you literally like walked away from this. Okay, now I don't season it quite yet. Okay, because you got this salt from the bacon. Okay, so my next step that I do, people may disagree or agree, whatever, that's fine, is now I just put my cayenne pepper in, and actually this is the cayenne pepper. I just put the paprika in prior to that, and then we're going to stir this down. This is going to add a little bit more color to it too. That paprika is going to tint this down a little bit. All right, you can see how it all, a lot of stirring here, but it's definitely worth it. Now you can kind of back off the heat. Okay, once the cheese is melted and you got your beautiful cheese sauce here, right? You can back off that heat, no problem. Okay, so now we're going to come over and we're going to grab our pasta that we made earlier, and this is all going to go in kind of lumpy because we didn't rinse it, so you have a lot of there we go, you have a lot of starch in that. So let's get this off the counter. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're just going to break this up and we're going to mix this in all together. just like this. No special way of doing this, just kind of do it until it all comes together. And this is where you start getting yourself a really, really beautiful mac and cheese. Nice and creamy, cheesy. Oh boy. Okay, so that's good for right now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn around. We're going to grab a handful of bacon. We're going to grab some of these awesome onions. And you could put as little or as much as you want of that in there. And of course we're going to do the jalapeños as well in there. All right, so a little bit more onion, and then we're going to mix it up, and then we're going to put it in a casserole dish. I do it this way because this makes it, you can actually see what you're doing, right? You know when you need something more. Okay, actually we can kill the heat. Just keep stirring it to get everything nicely incorporated in this. Okay, so when you look at the colors, what do you think, right? I think you could use a little bit more onion, so we're going to throw the rest of the onion in. And I'm going to do a little bit more, jalapeno. And then we're going to do some more bacon, just like that. Okay, and now we're going to mix this, and this should be perfect. Yes, I think this is perfect. All right, now we're going to take this. We're going to bring this over. Look at that. You can eat this right now, actually. You don't have to bake it if you don't want to. But what we're going to do right now, because there is no salt and pepper in this, is we're going to add a little bit of salt. We're going to add a little bit of pepper, and we're going to mix. All right. And we're going to taste a little bit of this, see if we got our seasonings right. Let's get this in a 13x9 buttered bacon dish. Here we go. We're going to assemble this, okay? All right. We're going to put some of this all in here. I'll tell you, if you've never had onions in your mac and cheese, you might definitely want to give this a shot, because that sweet yellow onion that's in here, it definitely does the trick. It definitely sets it off a little bit, and I personally love that. Okay, so there's our first layer. And yes, I say layer because what we're going to do here is we're just going to take a little, not much, just a little bit, and we're going to put a little bit of mozzarella cheese, shredded mozzarella cheese. And the only reason why I'm doing this isn't really even for flavor. This is literally just for a pull. Okay? You can leave it out. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. I just think mac and cheese looks great when you're able to pull it. You get those little strings, right? I do. All right, so we're gonna put the rest of the mac and cheese in here, just like this. And that cheese will probably be melted before we even put it in the oven, because there's not that much of it, right? Okay, so just put it in. I personally don't like to flatten it out. If there's little points or whatever, leave them there, because that looks good as far as the whole serving thing. Okay, so what we're going to do once again is we're going to just sprinkle a little mozz on top, just like that. And then we're going to come back through it with, I saved some cheese from the from when I shredded all my stuff, and this will be melt down really nice. You can mix this and just like that. I told you this is very rich as well. Okay, now if you guys want to put breadcrumbs on top or whatever, you without a doubt can. All right, so that's what it is. We're putting this in the oven, 350. We're going to check it in about 20 minutes. This is bubbling. This is super hot. You pull it because it's already cooked. All right, I'll see you back here in probably 20 minutes to a half hour. And look at this. Oh boy. All right, I get excited when I make this. Sorry about that. It's excellent. Okay, so there we go. Our mac and cheese is done. We're now going to let this cool down for about probably 10 minutes, and then I'm going to throw a spoon in it. We're going to plate this up. I'm going to have, once again, another great lunch. All right, so we had about a 10-minute cool down time. Now we're going to start plating this up because it's lunchtime. All right, let's see. Very, very hot. So when you guys spoon this out, be very, very careful. All right, this looks so good. Get a little bit of pull from that mozzarella cheese that we put in there. Okay, so we're gonna garnish it a little bit with maybe some leftover bacon, just like that. And we're gonna take a couple of these sauteed jalapeños and put it right on top. Okay guys, this is it. This is my mac and cheese. This is my bacon with carameled onions. I think I said that right? Carameled onions? Carameled? Something like that. Anyways, this is my mac and cheese, my bacon mac and cheese with onions and some jalapenos. If you guys like this recipe, share it, subscribe. Could use some more subscribers as always. And share it with your friends. Okay, here it is. Baked macaroni and cheese.